I'm Laura Vitale, and on this episode of Laura in the Kitchen, I want to show you how I make my coffee chocolate chunk ice cream. Now, coffee ice cream is right up there with the top 2 or 3 favorite ice cream flavors of my husband. So he's always requesting this ice cream, and I always make it for him because it's very easy to make. And personally, I'm the kind of person that unless I'm on vacation, when it comes to ice cream and popsicles and things like that, I love making them, and I love to have them in the freezer, especially during the summer. And I want to share this recipe with you. It's extremely simple to make, but it is just so good and foolproof. It works every single time, and I'm thrilled to share the recipe with you. So let's go over the ingredients to get this started. You'll need some whole milk, heavy cream, egg yolks, some granulated sugar, instant coffee, and you're going to need some salt. And then the chocolate chunks are going to come in a little bit later on. These are really the basic ingredients you're going to need to make this recipe. It couldn't get any easier. We're going to start with getting our milk and cream to temperature. You need to bring this to a simmer, not a boil, but a simmer. Now, I do want to mention that I always work with large eggs. If you are working with extra large eggs, only use 5. The recipe calls for 7, just use 5. I'm going to add my egg yolks and my sugar. And while my cream and milk mixture is coming to temperature, I'm just going to whisk these until they become really nice and frothy and pale. And then we can kind of move on to adding them to our custard or our cream. They look great. Before I jump ahead of myself, like I almost did, when you add your cream and milk into your saucepan, make sure you add your instant coffee granules as well so they can steep. Losing myself a little bit here, but that's okay. We got this. All right, we're gonna get this go until the milk and cream mixture is up to temperature. Let me turn this up just a little tiny bit. I'm just gonna continue to whisk this up. And then we'll start tempering the eggs in just about a minute. My milk is up to temperature. I can see the little bubbles forming on the side. Just going to take a little bit of this mixture, just maybe 2 ladlefuls of this, and whisk it in my egg yolk mixture because I want to temper this. See how it just kind of mixes really well? Just going to add a little bit more because if I were to just add the egg yolk mixture into the full pot that's really, really hot, you can risk scrambling the eggs. And I love scrambled eggs with a side of cup of coffee, but I don't want them in my ice cream. So now you can pour this whole thing in here. Showing a tutorial or making an episode on how to make ice cream, it's definitely a bit more involved and it takes a little bit longer. But when it comes to you just making ice cream at home on a weekend, it's so quick and easy to do. This really is going to take a good 7 or 8 minutes or so over medium-low heat until the custard thickens. And then you put it in the fridge to cool overnight, put it in your ice cream machine, and you're done. So this is the thing. I got a lot of questions about, oh, it's so difficult and it takes so long, and it really doesn't. Once you do it so many times, it's like second nature. So what I'm going to do is babysit this over about medium-low heat, and I'm going to let this cook for about 7 to 8 minutes or until the custard thickens. My custard looks perfect. It's been about 7 minutes, and you'll know when the custard part is ready. If you take a wooden spoon and you take the back of it and you run your fingers, it says separated like that, that's when you know your custard is ready. So now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to pour this through a sieve just to catch anything that might have curdled or, any coffee bits and pieces that didn't totally, well, they all did. Anyways, precaution. What I'm going to do is I'm going to let this cool a little bit at room temperature, and then I'm going to cover this and pop this in the fridge for a minimum of 6 hours or up to overnight. It's completely up to you. It's going to be in there for a minimum of 6 hours though, because it really needs to be really, really nice and cold. And also make sure that you have the insert to your ice cream machine in the freezer the night before, because otherwise if that's not fully frozen, it's not going to freeze your ice cream. So I'm going to pop this in the fridge for 6 hours and 6-7 hours depending, or overnight. I don't know. I'll see you when this is cold. I had my ice cream base in the fridge for about 7 hours, and it's time to freeze this baby. Now I've got my ice cream machine ready. The insert was in the freezer overnight, which is super important, otherwise this is not going to work. And it's really, really simple. I mean, you've seen me do this a million times, or at least 3 or 4 times. I'm not sure how many ice cream recipes I've made here. But anyways, now depending on your ice cream machine, read the instructions. It'll, you know, the time will vary. Mine takes about 25 minutes to fully freeze it. So I'm going to turn this on. Now I've got my semi-sweet chocolate chunks here on hand, ready to add them in as soon as this is pretty much all the way frozen, and I'll show you what it looks like once it's there. My ice cream has just about almost 10 minutes left to go till it's really nice and frozen, so I'm going to add in my chocolate chunks at this time. I love the chunks, but you can also add chocolate chips. It doesn't really matter. I'm going to add those in, and they're going to just get incorporated as this goes on, so I'm not going to worry about it. I will show you what this looks like when it's fully done. That is done. Very excited about this. You know I like serving mine a little more soft serve than really hard, but you know, you can always pop this in the freezer for a little bit if you want it, you know, super hard, but oh yes. Without a doubt, this will be the best coffee ice cream your guest will ever eat. You're gonna have to trust me on this one. It's creamy, it's got the coffee flavor, it's sweet, not overly sweet, which I like. It's such a great balance. So good. Head on over to LauraInTheKitchen.com to get this recipe. I hope you enjoy spending time with me, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.